Good day to you. Jason here, Birchfield Family Farm, Oxford, Ohio. We're running grass-fed Red Devon cattle, St Croix sheep, chickens, and Idaho pasture pigs in a rotational grazing system. You can find more about us at our website, birchfieldfarms.com. Got a good word for you today. This comes from Luke 18. Then Jesus told his disciples a parable to show them that they should always pray and not give up. He said, in a certain town there was a judge who neither feared God nor cared about men. And there was a widow in that town who kept coming to him with the plea, "Grant me justice against my adversary." For some time he refused, but finally he said to himself, "Even though I don't fear God or care about men, yet because this widow keeps bothering me, I will see that she gets justice so that she won't eventually wear me out with her coming." And the Lord said, "Listen to what the unjust judge says, and will not God bring about justice for his chosen ones who cry out to him day and night? Will he keep putting them off? I tell you, he will see that they get justice, and quickly. However, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on the earth?" So a little bit of context here. As we look at this parable, we see what is most likely the least powerful person in this agrarian culture that Jesus is referencing, the widow. And then we see her influencing the most powerful person, which is most likely the judge. We see her doing this. How is this done? This is done through persistence. I think in my own life, persistence is required when you at the beginning you perceive or you hear from the Lord and what he's saying, and then there's down the line there's going to be a resolution, or when we perceive him to act, there's all of this time in between. What do we do with that? We're required to stand. We're required to be steadfast, to stand in that time, and I think Jesus gives us a clue here at the end of this parable as to what it takes to stand. That is faith. Will he find faith when he returns? And he gives us even this, and that's what I want to encourage you in today. Continue to persist. Don't give up. He gives us all that we need. Several moves that need to be made here on the farm today. We had some interesting visitors here last week. I enjoyed getting to know them and having them here from all the way out in Kansas, but it kind of got me thinking again back to just the conversation on small acreage and grazing small acreages, and really what can be done there. I think there's so much we learned here when we had sheep and cattle on just our 5-acre paddock section here, and I kind of want to dive back into that, specifically talking about just a 3-acre system here, and kind of what we would do again if we had that chance to build again. But we need to do a cattle move today. See cattle over here. They are ready to move. We've been in D1 drought, moderate drought here for the past few weeks, and just last night got about 8/10 of an inch of rain. Supposedly more on the way tomorrow, so that was very much welcome, and don't know that that's going to solve all of our issues here, but it's going to put us back in the ball game here and keep us rotating. So we're going to walk and talk today. Let's go out and do a cattle move to start things off. Okay, here we go. We got Sammer up in the sky there. They're ready. Let's get them on the move. Come on, Moose. Come on. Come on, Moose. Look everybody over here as we come through. A little bit of fly pressure, quite a bit actually. You can see we got our inverted trash can over there, and we wrapped some fly paper around that waterer as well, but I may have to hit them with our spray, especially Patrick. He's got quite a few. Looking at everybody over here though, looking pretty good. Keeping an eye on eyes and hooves this time of year with those flies. We want to keep an eye on the eyes with the pink eye. It's Petey. Now this is Joy here coming through. There's Petey back there. I'm gonna take a look at him here. He goes into the processor on Sunday, and he's looking pretty good there. Looking at that tail head, back end. Let's get a shot of him here. Yeah, walking away from us. Yeah, he's gonna make a good beef. Can't really get to that brisket right now, but that'll be some tasty grass-fed beef. Looking forward to getting him back. Hank the bull calf. Everybody's looking good. Looking at this that we're coming onto. Not as high as I'd like to see, but I am pleased to have something in D1 drought here. We did get a little some rain last night, but it's going to take a little time to, and look at him looking at that drone. It'll take a little time to snap back here, maybe some rain in the forecast for tomorrow. But that's what we got on cattle, just what we're dealing with. Daily moves here. So we'll probably be out again tomorrow, going from paddock 7 on to paddock 8. These are 1/4 acre paddocks here. And we do have the calves pulled off right now. We're weaning the calves. She's into that short stuff. A little bit of chicory out here coming back. Not as much this time of the year. We're okay. We're doing it. Okay, one more shot of Petey here up close. And I also, as we're looking him over, I also wanted to say this pasture here, I don't think I mentioned, this is between 35, let's say 35 and 40 days of rest here. Probably 36 to 38. Which is not too bad in the middle of D1 moderate drought. So yeah, looking him over here, good looking brisket. Looks like quite a bit of fat cover. That's really the art here on grass finishing. See the oh yeah, I can feel the fat on the tail head there. And he's just a good looking Devon steer. So he is out of Emma. He is a little bit older. I'd have to look back and see exactly how old, but we'd want to get him to market before his age. Looking at, you know, we really need to be just doing 2 seasons of hay. So we need to be under, you know, 30, need to be between 30 and 36 months. We need to have him in. He's a bit older than that, but again, I would rather err on the side of having that fat cover. That's going to give you your flavor. So I'm pretty bad at estimating weights here, but if we get the time, we'll do another video when we take him in, looking for about 62% of hanging weight from live weight. I'm really bad at estimating live weight. There's a formula you can do with your phone measurement tool, measuring from the shoulder. I think I did a video on that a while back. Maybe I'll link to that if I can find it. But I don't know, 1,100, 1,200 pounds would be great. I don't know that he's there. But we'll get all that info this weekend. He's going in Sunday, so. But I did want to mention that on pasture, under 40 days of rest here. And we do have some material here in D1 moderate drought, so it's a good thing. Okay, Sheepa says about 40 ewes here. I got Sam up in the sky here. He'll get us some overhead shots. We kind of have had the ewes here in this pasture over on that side for a while, and then we just moved them here yesterday just to let them kind of eat down. You see some of the weeds up against the fence, give them some of that good stuff off those weeds. But these guys, we want to run these guys to the back. I like grazing fence rows this time of year, and we'll kind of get into our topic of discussion here, which is a 3-acre system. How would we build it if we had it to do again? I got some thoughts on that. Let's talk through it and move at the same time. You guys ready? I got my 2 shepherdesses here. Thumbs up. Okay, here we go. Open it up, Ev. So we're heading all the way back there through the green gate, if you can see it, green gates. So we're going to try and keep them up against the fence kind of as we go. Go ahead and go with them, Ev. I'll get this gate. Stay up ahead of them. Maybe. There they go. And they're off. Oh boy. Yeah. Hey, Ev, you wanna? Yeah. Okay, they kind of have some kind of idea. There you go. And then we have talked about our scraggler here. We got a little scraggler in the back here. She is a call, but you know what? She lambed for us. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. A couple things we love about these Croix: their mothering abilities. We've had 3 bottle lambs in 7, almost going on, I think it'll be 8 years this next year. We've been doing sheep 7 years this past year, and 3 bottle lambs. Yeah, let's keep them moving this way. Yeah, push them up, Jeannie. Come on, up against the fence. Let's go. And mothering abilities and their parasite resistance. That's the big thing with the St Croix. They're not parasite immune, parasite resistant, and there are things we can do to encourage that resistance as well. But let's get them where they need to be here, which is just up the hill through the gate. And we'll dig into today's topic. Okay, through the gate here, they'll go to the left. Really is the only option. And then we'll close them in. We are grazing fence rows this time of year. You guys, if you were following last year, know there's a big swale back there we grazed last year. Like grazing fence rows this time of the year for several different reasons. One of which is, it keeps our fence rows clean, but also this has not been grazed this year. And so, you're giving them fresh stuff to come on to. They get really, really good stuff other than what they get off the pasture. We look at a lot of the leaves and the brush, the browse, okay, and that's going to give them just access to some stuff that they don't normally get on the pasture. Helps with parasite loads because we have not been on this yet. Though we could be back on, but fall is typically that time where you're going to see the highest parasite loads when you've been rotating on the same system, because you've been doing that all year. You haven't had freezing temperatures, and so it's allowed those parasites to multiply. Barber pole worm is primarily what I'm talking about there. Coccidia, we can see that as well. But these sheep here, no chemical dewormer. We do not use any of that. No coccidia stats, no medication, nothing. They can't make it on their own in the system and thrive. Then they're not a fit here. And it's harsh to some people, but that's the way nature works. And that's the way that we try and do it here. Yeah, they like to kind of, a little bit like cattle, right? You put cattle on an area to start out, and they're going to go kind of see, okay, how big is the area here? What's it look like? What do I have access to? And they're heading back now, and they'll dig in here and start to graze. So I got some Osage orange in here, goldenrod, some of the honeysuckle growth. This field here is 26 acres. We have a farmer that rents this for hay. He does cattle. And it's a great deal for us because we get to buy back whatever hay that we need and do not have to invest in all of the equipment. This here should hold us for probably 2 days, I would estimate. And then we may come back on that pond pasture. We may just keep, as in years past, we just keep going right around the outside of the fence. The hay farmer doesn't mind it because that keeps everything trimmed back. He can get a little bit more cut, coming in here, being able to see that there aren't branches down or rocks or whatever to tear up his equipment. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody, to be honest, and sheep love it. So yeah, what I really wanted to talk today about was that 3-acre system. I was telling you guys earlier, we had visitors here last week, retired folks, super great people just to hang out with and having them here. Really enjoyed having them here at the farm from Kansas. And we just got to talking, and they were retired, kind of looking, poking around a little bit, and just thinking about, okay, now that we're in retirement, what could we do? We've got 3 acres Kind of that's what they had brought up. And it just got me thinking, 3-acre system. What would that look like? If we did that again here, we're on about 60 acres here. But over the years, we've had a lot of different situations and contexts. We ran animals on 5 acres for a number of years here, both cattle and sheep. And I was amazed at how productive you can be when you are a little more intentional with rest and just a little more intentional with moving the animals. We were getting a multi-species graze with both sheep and cattle. She looks good, huh? And anyhow, we were up doing, so where do I start here? We were doing 2 to 3 times conventional set stock grazing rate here. So what does that mean? Well, in our area, and again, as I talk through this, please understand, please hear me out. I am talking for my context. The responsibility is on you for your context to figure that out. I'm speaking to mine. And we in this area, we can set stock graze about 1 animal unit per acre. Let me get their exercise in here. 1 animal unit per acre. Now, what is an animal unit? An animal unit is about 1,000 pounds of animal. So they typically will say a cow. Okay, it's kind of equivalent to a 1,000-pound cow. Well, our St Croix sheep, about 125 pounds, full-grown ewe. Okay, so we could say about 8 St Croix per acre is what we could set stock graze. Now, set stock grazing means you're just turning animals out, letting them roam. So you pull up the trailer, in April or May around here, you turn them out, and then you pick them up, and at Halloween or Thanksgiving or sometime in November, just depending on the weather, depending on kind of what's going on. Now, that does not mean we're not feeding hay. Okay, we feed hay here. We've always fed hay. That's a part of the equation, part of the cost. But 3 acres. If I was looking at this again on 3 acres in my area, in my context, I would be saying 8 times 3 is 24. And I know I'm going to have people just fly off the handle. 24 sheep on 3 acres. Oh my gosh. My son watched your video and he wants to do this now, and I'm trying to talk him down off the mat. Look, the best thing you can do if you're mentoring someone and they're wanting to try this, the best thing, and this is how I know who really farms and who doesn't. The real farmers out there know the best teacher is failure. Okay? Because when you fail, you will never forget it, and it's experiential. You know it, you lived it, you'll never do it again when you fail. And so you fail, you come back, you tweak, and you come back and you do it again. So we need to be encouraging that discovery, okay, that experiential perspective and knowledge, and that's what we have here. And so 24 sheep is what I would be looking at conservatively, looking at a 3-acre system. Now, we've said one of the things across the board that we can count on is twice as much rest in the fall as in the spring. That I do believe that, wherever you're at in North America, that's going to apply. Twice as much rest in the fall as in the spring. So when we design a rotational grazing system, we know we should expect we're going to be more productive than set stock grazing by far. How much more productive? We saw with daily moves, we saw between 2 and 3x. So we were running about between 12 and 13 animal units on 5 acres. Now that's when you include everything, okay? All the meat, birds, chickens, layers, all the meat and the eggs and the things that we were producing, all of the animals in that 5-acre system, between 12 and 13 animal units on 5 acres. What should we have been at set stock grazing wise? About 5 animal units on 5 acres, an animal unit per acre. Again, check with your local extension office or a local farmer on what your set stock grazing rate is in your area and make adjustments accordingly. But here, if I set it up again, I would design for the fall. And so I like moving daily. It gets us out here, gets us interacting, looking over the animals. You can put that on steroids and was just talking to Travis in South Carolina. Travis and loved our conversation last week. Guys doing, 400,000 to 500,000 pounds of live weight sheep per acre rotating and seeing tremendous results with that. He's saying he thinks 5, 6, 7 times conventional that he's running there with mobbing them up. Now there's some other things to consider when you're going at that high of a stock density. Sheep are pretty hard to contain when you get into that level of stock density, and also you're going to have much higher labor. According to Travis, he thinks it's worth it. And that's what you've got to define in your context. How involved do you want to be? I think daily moves for us was about right. So looking at that system, that 3-acre system, I would look at around here rotating every 18 days in the fall, and then moving that out to twice as much rotation or twice as much rest in the fall, which would be about 36 paddocks for the fall. So what I'm doing there, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to design 36 paddocks, okay? And looking at that system, if I have 3 acres, I'm going to want to set up about 12 paddocks per acre. So a 1/12 of an acre is the way I'm going to run that. Okay, that's where I'm going to start. Now, am I going to start with 24? You wouldn't have to. If you want to get really conservative, knock your numbers back. But I think looking at those 12th acre paddocks, you're going to be at about 50 by 70 on each paddock. Okay, and you just want to you're going to want to back into that dry matter, the dry matter need that you have, and then can you meet that need based off of those paddocks and that duration of movement, that duration of rest, basically. And so looking at that, a sheep is about 3.5% of live weight body weight per day in dry matter. So not just pasture, pasture not in our season now, but typically pasture is about 70% moisture. So you're only going to have about 30% dry matter, but some numbers there to kick around. Jim Garish out west quotes 300 pounds per inch per acre of dry matter. Okay, around here we've measured it, and we are typically between, depending on the season, we are typically between 400 and 500 pounds of dry matter per inch per acre, which kind of makes sense, because out west, not going to be as productive out there, which is a lot of the reason why ground is much less expensive. 125 pound ewe, if we're running 24 of those, we know we'll be right at about 3,000 pounds of live weight animal. We know we need about 3.5% of body weight per day in dry matter forage for them to consume. That puts us at about a need of about 100 pounds, a little over 100 pounds. So that's some easy math there. If we're doing 12 acre paddocks, then we know we have about 50, let's just say a 50 by 70 would be about 3,500 square feet. Going off of that 400 pounds of dry matter per inch per acre on pasture, that would put us at about 33 pounds per inch of forage in dry matter that the sheep would have to consume, that they would have available. That's per inch, 33 pounds per inch. So we know if we need 100 pounds, we've got 33 per inch. We know we need about 3 inches of forage for them to consume per day. Now, even in our couple thoughts here, even in our D1 moderate drought right now, I am reasonably confident in saying with a 36-day rest period, we can get 3 inches of growth. Okay, I think we are seeing that in our paddocks here. It's pretty hard not to be able to achieve, of course, depending on the season as well, but even spring through fall in the grazing season, I think it's pretty tough to not get 3 inches of growth in 36 days is the first point. The second point is, as we have seen stock densities with sheep climb to around 40,000 pounds of live weight animal per acre, we saw a certain amount of forage that we needed to allocate to trample meaning that stock densities are higher, they're tighter in there. So we're going to need to account for some trample. How do we know how much to account for? I don't have all of the answers to that, but based on what we've seen, we did a small section at 40,000 pounds of live weight animal per acre on the sheep side and had a few interesting observations. Number one, sheep at the same stock density pound-wise as cattle, you have 10 times as many hooves going, right? Because you have 10, or roughly speaking, 10 sheep per cow. So 4 hooves on a cow, you've got 40 hooves on 10 sheep. So we saw a trample level much more intense with sheep, which makes me very curious as to, in the regenerative grazing camp, the full extent basically of the impact of sheep that sheep can have versus cattle. So I think what we saw with 40,000 pounds was it was I think pretty close, pretty accurate to say that allocate half to trample at 40,000 pounds, or we don't have much experience with going greater than that. I hope to do that at some point in time, but having 24 sheep on 1/12 of an acre for a day, that would mean if we want to give half to trample, that would mean we need at least 6 inches of forage, 6 inches of pasture there, but that's also taking things down pretty low, which you may or may not want to do depending on your strategy. A lot of different grazing strategies out there, depending on what works for you in your context, what you're into. Couple points here. Experiential reality is always better than what some talking head is saying on YouTube. Experiential reality, failure, being willing and able to fail, circle back. What did we do wrong? Let's get it right next time. Lots of value there. So those are just some numbers to kind of start you out in your thinking as you're thinking about grazing smaller acreages, being productive, and potentially profitable. And then the beauty of that system too is that there's the potential there to harvest grass clippings for haylage. And thank you to everybody that has checked out and or purchased our course. We've had some sales of our course online there, the course birchfieldfarms.com. It's an online courses tab there that you can select, looking at making a beginner sheep course at some point in time, but you will find a course there on micro-haylage, and we're teaching how to make haylage with just a mower, grass clippings, and the beauty of that is that all you need is a container basically that's airtight to ferment those clippings. And so in a rotational grazing system, one of the advantages there is that you can, in the spring, when you have those really highly nutritious cool season forages, you can pack away that haylage, okay, and harvest it, because in the spring you're only starting with an 18-day rotation, okay, and then you're going to move that around, maybe be about halfway in between 18 and 36, about 27 days at about midsummer, around 4th of July. Okay, so kind of you see how we're moving things out as we move through the season. It's going to be highly dependent upon weather and context, and how good your ground is, and all of that. So there are a lot of variables in there, but just speaking for my situation, if we did 3 acres here again, I am going to be shooting for, on my ground, I'm going to be looking to start with around 24 St Croix ewes. Now there's different size sheep, okay? So when you talk about sheep, all is not equal either. You got your Dorpers, you can probably only run 5 to 6 Dorpers, whereas I can run 8 to 10 St Croix. And so there's context there too. Well, what do you want to eventually do? You want to make meat, or do you want to, we're selling breeding stock here. And so being able to have more head of ewes that's going to be more profitable for us with a smaller framed sheep when we're selling 90-day-old lambs. So that's what we've done. Is there a meat side to St. Croix? You better believe it. They've won all kinds of taste tests. Is commercial meat production the way to go with St. Croix? I think you're probably going to pay more at the processor, okay, because you're going to have a higher number of head. You're going to have a higher kill fee because you got more head that you're taking in. But we have run those numbers, and on a homestead meat scale, we have shown in other videos how you will make more meat with St. Croix than Dorper, just, you know, if you're processing yourself. Or if somebody else is processing too, but you do have that kill fee there if you're going the commercial route. So keep that in mind. So, you know, everything out here is context dependent, is the point I want to make. But I'm starting out with 24 here. That's what the route I'm going to go. I'm going to do daily moves. The three biggest things to consider are fencing, water, and stock density. Okay, so lots of different options there. We help folks on the consulting side with these topics. A lot of you have reached out and we've done sessions. I think we've done sessions now, phone sessions in probably 8 to 10 different states. Had folks come up here to the farm and tour, and had one guy spend a day here with us. Just doing consulting and just getting a feel for, hey, you know, what can I do? What does this look like? A lot of people learn by, you know, actually putting their hands on it and seeing it, and that's an option as well. So reach out. There's a contact form on the website if we can help you. But that's where I'm starting here. That's what I would be looking at, and 24 ewes through a rotation, and then I would be looking at continuing to grow that, continuing to grow those numbers. If you want to have a fully functional system that multiplies on its own, obviously you're going to have some rams in that system as well. That's a consideration. Okay, so you're gonna need to keep them separate for part of the year if you're doing all grass fed, because there's an art there, and you want to be timing up that grass fed lambing with the cool season forages. And it's a beautiful thing. God gives us everything we need in those cool season forages. But those are kind of the lines I would be thinking along, you know, if I was doing a 3-acre system. I like daily moves, and I would be designing for the fall, and then, you know, if you wanted to be more productive, you could always do more frequent moves. Where is the top end of that at? You know, as Travis was referencing, you know, 5, 6, 7 times conventional. You know, as we think through this, yes, there's more labor. You know, yes, we're going to have more costs to be out there interacting every day, sometimes multiple times a day. You know, you've got more fencing because you need to subdivide. You've got all of these other costs, but you know, to 5, 6, 7x productivity on the same ground. That's like, you know, when we were 2 and 3xing here in our just doing daily moves with our multi-species rotation, you know, that's like owning 2 or 3 times the farm ground for the same price. I think there's a lot of room there. There's a lot of people with smaller acreages that are really wanting to be more involved, and that gets me excited because we get away from the chemicals, we get away from the conventional ag model that's just about, you know, killing everything in sight, you know, so that we can monocrop or mono whatever, fill in the blank. And you know, I think when we get these systems going, that 2 and 3x, if not greater than that, then it really causes folks to kind of step back and say, yeah, there is a little more labor required there, but when you pencil that out, it's absolutely worth that effort, especially if you have a family, a young family. You're getting them involved, you're teaching, you're learning. It can be a really good thing. So I would encourage you guys with smaller acreages, don't get discouraged or let people poo-poo you just because you don't have a lot of ground. There's a lot that you can do. I mean, look, take 24 ewes. I mean, what could 24 ewes do for you every year? You know, like I say, in our context, if we were running 24 on 3 acres, yes, we're going to have to hay in the winter or provide some haylage or something like that. You're not gonna do it all on 3 acres, okay? But look at your lambing season. You know, 24 ewes typically twin here. We have a ram and a ewe, and so 24 ewes are lambing 48 lambs. You know, and our goal here has always been, at least on our ram side, to hit 75 pounds on an April lamb coming around to Thanksgiving. You know, 75 pounds. On the Croix here, you know, maybe 25 pounds of meat. 48 lambs, 20 pounds of meat. I mean, you're going to feed your entire family, no doubt about that. But probably a few others as well. And you know, that's off grass. What are they saying now? 40 million acres of irrigated, mowed lawn in the U.S. Imagine what we could do with just a little bit of effort, a little bit of persistence, and learning as we go, developing community with one another, what works, what doesn't. Anyhow, I get excited about it. I know not everybody does, and that's okay. All right? But if you're somebody that does get excited about it, thanks for being here. So I think high stock density with sheep, I think that's an excellent place for a conversation starter. And leaning into that, and very valuable to be able to lean into folks that have experience with that and just what they've seen in their particular context, and then, you know, taking what we can and applying that to our situations, you know, across the country in our own context. You know, for us at this point, high stock density interests me. Now, remember too, we have things like Mott's curve, you know, that we've talked about here before, and kind of that place where, you know, you are looking for that place where land productivity and animal performance kind of meet. And if you continue to push, the conventional thinking is if you continue to push land productivity, you eventually reach a point where animal performance takes a dive. I'll throw that chart up here if I remember, but Google Mott's curve, lots of information out there you can look up. But even more interesting to me right now, one of our, really, you could say probably our largest expense here is our hay cost over the winter. And so what's more interesting to me than high stock density at this point is, you know, how do we get off of the hay? And you've heard me say here before, harvested forage is on average 4 times the cost of grazed forage. How do we keep the animals doing what they do best, which is harvesting their own feed over the winter? One of the potential solutions and answers to that question is stockpile grazing. This field here behind me, where the green is across the fence there, that is our windmill pasture, and we have intentionally pulled animals off. We are no longer grazing that now through the rest of the season because we want to answer that question. What does stockpile look like? Can we do it? How much do we need to keep these guys going over the winter? And then potentially, you know, if we need a month to 6 weeks to feed something over the winter, then we're going to tap into that haylage that we've made. Again, courses available on the website. But stay tuned, because we're going to be stockpile grazing that. We're going to try and strip graze it all winter long, give them, you know, 5-6 feet all the way down the fence every day. Will it work? Have no idea. But I know one thing, after this winter, we will have that experience, and we're going to take you along with us for that ride. So thanks for hanging today. I hope you are well. Be blessed wherever you are. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.